gotta pay for it. Fuck it. Alrighty. And on to the Xbox stuff. Um, so I picked this one because I wanted to focus more on this channel. I wanted to focus more on like the gaming news, gaming, like the like in-depth gaming stuff, and that's about like some of the things like the developers and the executives of these gaming industries think about these series. So Phil Spencer says that Activision layoffs were due to lack of growth and need for profits. So what does he mean by that? Because if you don't know, there's been a lot of like layoffs in the gaming industry, this year, early this year, which definitely sucks. And Xbox is definitely one of the companies that's been laying off people. This is a pretty picture of Phil Spencer for this headline. So Xbox Phil Spencer says that the layoffs at Activision Blizzard were done due to both the state of gaming industry as well as the need for Xbox to be profitable. In the interview with Polygon, Spencer talked about the lack of growth within the gaming industry as well as Xbox making sure its fans can get all the games they want whenever they want. It's a little bit of both, Spencer told Polygon, but I'll say the thing that has me most concerned for the industry is the lack of growth. When you, yeah, he says something like, so in this second paragraph, he says something in the Xbox podcast they had about when people were concerned that Xbox is not gonna, you know, make consoles anymore. Is that they for Xbox they want fans to play the game wherever they want, and they're willing to put their exclusives on other consoles now. Um, it doesn't seem like they're going to do it like day one, but they're still going to want to. Um, they're still going to like put it out, and honestly, from what I'm seeing, the Xbox hasn't had like a lot of growth, in my opinion. Even with the merger for like Activision Blizzard into Xbox. And honestly, I feel like it's because they still didn't have any games that was like enticing enough for people to get like to get the Game Pass or buy Xboxes. And unfortunately, in the beginning of last year, they had Redfall, which is a dumpster fire, unfortunately, and even like caused some people to have some doubt about like Marvel's Blade that they're making, um, which are, and then Starfield. Not a people. Xbox bought Bethesda because of Starfield, but people aren't like really weren't really feeling it when it came out. And like I haven't even touched the game yet, unfortunately. Mainly because I feel like my computer is not going to handle it. But a lot of people haven't really touched the game, and it just like I think the Game Pass is great. It's just I think if you're not going to have like games on like your system or on your side, then and it's really no point. Because there's been plenty of video game consoles that had great hardware and hey, had great concepts like the Dreamcast, the Intellivision. Uh, they all had like superior consoles or like had great ideas for their consoles, but they didn't succeed because they lacked the games or they lack I don't know something. It's just but anyways, back to the article. But I wonder what he means by the concern for like the industry and the lack of growth in the industry. Um, when you when you have an industry that's projected to be smaller next year in terms of players and dollars, and you get a lot of publicly traded companies that are in the industry that have shown their investors growth, Because why else does anybody own a share of some of my stock if it is not going to grow? The side of the business that then gets scrutinized is the cost side. What? I feel like I read that wrong. Because if you're going to grow the revenue side, then the cost side becomes challenge. Hold on, I need to read that in my head. I mean, you have an industry that is projected to be smaller next year in terms of player and dollars, and you get a lot of publicly traded companies that are in the industry that have to show their investors growth, because why else would somebody own a share of someone's company if it's not going to grow? Okay. The side of the business that the side of the business that then gets scrutinized is the cost side, because if you're not going to grow the revenue side, then the cost side becomes challenge. Still a little bit confused by that. I'm assuming he means like, why would if he, I'm assuming he means why would people invest in your company if you're expected to, you know, have less players and less money in the company? Or like, why would I invest in it, which then in turn lose investors? I feel like that's what they're saying. On top of that, lack of growth Spencer sees, he mentioned Xbox being a business first. With that comes the need to answer to shareholders, executives that require the company to be profitable. We're a business, he said. I said over and over, I don't get any luxury of not having to run a profitably growing business inside of Microsoft. And we are that today. But just across the industry, you mentioned it, and in sitting here at GDC, I reflect on friends of mine in the industry that have been displaced and lost their jobs, and how just I don't want this industry to just be a place where people can't, with confidence, build a career. So that's why, and that's one of the reasons I like Phil Spencer. I think he's like a good like figurehead in the industry, and I think that he'll be like, even after he's gone and like he retires from the company, I think he'll be remembered as like a great figurehead. Like on I think he would be like close to like Miyamoto, Reggie, Fuzime, all those other guys, because from time and time again, every time you see this guy, he's always, he's always, explain things and tell things how it is. Um, at least I feel like, or like he's always been like players first in my opinion. Um, and he honestly like he just you know like I said, tell it how it is, and like tries to be honest as possible, and tell us that he's going to try to do his best to like work in the best interest of us the players, while also like trying to make the business profitable. That's why they got the Game Pass, because if you don't know, making consoles is honestly kind of a loss for these companies like for Sony and Xbox and like Sega and all of them, and Nintendo, kind of a loss for them. And so the Game Pass is kind of a cheaper option for them, because they can just have a subscription service where like you can get their games on any consoles. That's why Microsoft is trying to spread like the church of Game Pass to everybody. Um, but I always appreciated that Spencer is always like players first, even though like he has to run the business. Um, and he's willing to make some sacrifices to do those things, make the company profitable, but also make sure players are enjoying the games that they produce, or they publish and get developed from developers. Um, so that's why I keep pivoting back to how does this industry get back to growth. But to your question, for us as Xbox or any other teams that are out there, it is really an outcome of an industry that's not growing. It can grow and it will grow again, but you see this time right now, and the implications have human impact, and we should all reflect on that. Think about that. Okay. Lastly, Spencer discussed Xbox as a brand and getting names in front of players. He reiterated past notion that it's no longer about a single console connected to a TV. For Xbox, the company's research have shown that younger people just don't view gaming like that due to the technology and applications. He mentioned TikTok specifically, they have access to at all times. So for Xbox, our brand pivot as we attract and maintain lines with a younger audience is is Xbox is Xbox. What? Why did you write this down like that? Xbox is a place where I can find the great games. Is Xbox a place? Ignore this is right here. Is Xbox a place where I can find great games I want to? He said. So, what do you think of Phil Spencer's comments on the Activision Blizzard layoffs and the state of gaming as a whole? I can see some people would say that, this is company corporate talk about corporate talk about why they had, lay off these people. I feel like layoffs is definitely terrible. I'm not gonna get it wrong, but they are a business, and unfortunately, they have to make the decisions to lay off people, which sucks. And I mean, honestly, these companies should have overhired like they did when COVID first came out. I mean, it's good that they did, but they should have did a better job at, foreseeing like how the future was going to unfold. Um, cause now, cause now people are getting laid off because of it. And it's interesting to say that he noticed that there isn't like there's a lack of growth in the gaming industry, and I wonder if people feel the same way. Cause I feel like I kind of feel that way in a little bit. Cause I feel like it's like there's been like last year was a really great year for gaming. There's a lot of like variety and very interesting games like Armor Core, Liza P, Star Wars, Hi-Fi Rush, things like that. Um, so I don't know. Do you guys feel like there's been a lack of growth in the industry? I mean, at least I know on the FPS side it has, and there's like live service games. There's a kind of like the the bane of like the gaming industry. More likely, live service games are like the bane of the gaming industry's existence right now. But that's like another video to talk about. Um, another Another article is publishers worried about supporting Xbox moving forward, report claims. Third-party publishers are second-guessing their continued support on Xbox consoles moving forward, according to a new report from the head of GamesIndustry.biz, Chris Drink. The predominant feeling about last week's Game Developers Conference was the status of Microsoft and Xbox. The other thing I heard it from a very prominent company and one not so prominent, was Xbox performance in Europe is just flatlining. He said via the GI Microcast. He continued, you can follow our monthly coverage in the games market and you can see that the Xbox share is failing. It's been all throughout last year and it's failing even harder this year. The phrase one major company who released a big game last year, I don't know why we bother supporting it. Yeah, they had like one big game. Yeah. Lastly, it was mentioned that third-party publishers view the market right now as PC and PS5. One thing to note is that this report specifically mentions European sales. It's unknown, however, if the publishers referenced were European publishers or studio based elsewhere. Insider Gaming has reached out to Microsoft over these potential concerns. As of writing, none of our requests for comment has been answered. What do you think the future holds for Xbox amid the concerns surrounding publishers and future support? It's very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting to know what some developers are thinking about. I mean, this is just in like Europe, according to this. But I can see, why they would, you know, have that concern because honestly, uh, even after all of those, they they've acquired Bethesda, and now they acquired Activision Blizzard. So now they have enough games to like release out. So Microsoft just needs to put out games because that's the one thing that they're lacking right now is the games. Because last year, to my knowledge, the biggest game that was supposed to be coming out last year for them, that's like an exclusive. Well, there's really two games, Hi-Fi Rush, to be honest. But that was in the beginning year, and unfortunately, when a game comes out earlier in the year, it's kind of forgotten by the time the year ends, which sucks. Um, but so Hi-Fi Rush was definitely a big game. Redfall was supposed to be a big game, but that game flopped. Um, and then Starfield, and that's the only games that I think of that was like exclusive to Xbox. Starfield was supposed to be their big game, and that came out, I think, sometime in the middle of the year or sometime after that, or like near the fall or winter or something like that. I forgot, but yeah, I mean, I can see where people will be like concerned about that. Like, why would I support, the Xbox console if, they're just, just focusing on if I can also get the games on PC and if they're not going to put out games. Like, you got to give people a reason to like play these games, guys, because this is the video game industry. We we buy these consoles and get these PCs to play games. so so I hope Xbox definitely shapes up. Um so Phil Spencer has described his dream Xbox handheld. There's actually something about it. So in a recent interview, because there's been news about Xbox working on a handheld, so that's why I picked this article. In a recent interview, head of Xbox Phil Spencer spoke at length about handheld gaming and how much he's enjoyed the revolution spearheaded by the likes of Lenovo, Asus, and Valve in recent months. Handheld gaming has skyrocketed in popularity with some white hot and super powerful devices making their way to the market. Phil Spencer has an idea in mind for his dream Xbox handheld, something that has been the subject of much debate of late. In an interview with Polygon that took place at the GDC conference, spoke of the success. He referenced traveling with a Lenovo Legion Go. According to the write-up published by Polygon, Spencer is considering two approaches to a handheld console-based experience, one driven by hardware and the other by software. There's an option to create a proprietary handheld console, and there's the option to improve the Xbox software experience on compatible devices like the Windows 11 powered Asus ROG Ally. There's nothing confirmed yet about them making consoles, but it seems like they are interested in it, at least.